Hey guys, Brent Campbell again. Following up from my last video, my brother David told us about his experience picking up the very last BMW M2 CS last year after having already had both the OG M2 and the M2 competition. Here I'm sharing the second segment of our conversation where David discusses, among other related topics, the differences in the driving experience of all three M2s, especially with regard to handling, having owned and lived with all three. This is his sixth M car, so he has a lot of perspective to draw from. It's a long conversation, and I can't expect you to be able to watch the whole thing at once. So I've broken it up into sections, which I'm sharing here.
So what ultimately did it for me was, first of all, seeing it under the lights. I mean, it was gorgeous. It has the carbon fiber hood that's painted, but it's carbon fiber under there, and then the beautiful weave on top, which the M4 had also had.
Yeah.
And then the trunk is carbon fiber. The seats are the great racing seats. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's also DCT, so it's not a manual. If I had ordered it, if I had my druthers, I would have gotten a manual.
I don't think they came with manual.
They did.
They did.
They did. Yeah, you can get a manual.
Okay.
I do miss rolling gears.
Yeah. Is the DCT on this different from the comp?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
It feels about the same. I mean, this car is substantially faster because, well, what they did is it's that S55 engine, but it's basically tuned the way the M4 competition is tuned. It basically has the same get up and go, the speed as the M4 competition. So it's plenty quick. It's 444 horsepower and 406, I think, pound-feet of torque.
Okay. 365, 405, and
444.
444. Okay, that's a substantial bump. Now, weight-wise, so if this is carbon fiber, I don't know how much weight that really saves.
Well, so that's the funny thing, is you think, oh, it's going to save all this weight, and, it doesn't have... One thing that when you've had a modern BMW that you get really used to is the comfort access. So as long as you got your key in your pocket, you go up to the car and you just touch the handle and it unlocks it for you. Now that's helpful when you're carrying a bunch of stuff, or here's lazy. Don't want to get your key out. They don't have that on this much more expensive M2 than the last couple of generations because it saves weight. Now how much weight does that really save? I don't know. But yeah, so they say, that they tried to shave some weight, but I think it's only a couple $100 less than the M2 competition.
Okay.
So it's not, and I don't have the specs right in front of me, but as I recall, it wasn't a crazy weight savings to have carbon fiber everywhere.
Okay. The M2 comp did not have the carbon fiber roof.
It didn't have the carbon fiber.
I assume you can't tell any difference. Well, handling-wise. I mean, that's what really matters, right? And the way that it tracks the road.
Right. It does handle better.
Okay.
It's definitely more assured. It's firmer. It doesn't roll quite as much. And again, the competition was nothing to laugh at. I mean, it was a very good car on the corners. This one is better. I mean, it is. The suspension is, interestingly, although it's better in the corners, it's an easier ride. The competition was a rougher ride than this. So I think they did make a lot of improvements to the suspension on this one.
Okay.
These brakes are ridiculous. Really, really good. I can barely clean the barrel of the wheel because the rotors are so huge.
Yeah.
The calipers are huge. I mean, it just bites. It's just an overall slightly faster, brakes slightly harder, weighs a little bit less. Is it worth the $20,000 premium? I'll tell you something. Probably not in terms of performance, if I'm honest. However, the fact that it's rare is part of what you're paying for.
Right.
Now, I have no intention to sell it anytime soon, but I know for a fact I could get $20,000 more than I paid for it.
Really?
If I sold it today.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that doesn't surprise me given the market.
Given the market and the fact that it's a very desirable car. They only made 500 of them, and there are a lot more than 500 people in the United States that would like to have it. So I do know when I go on the forums, there are pretty often people who post, I'm looking for one. If anybody's got one that they're willing to sell, I'll pay, whatever the premium is. People get it, that they're going to have to pay more than what it was originally sold for. So in that way, I suppose maybe it's worth the extra money for it. The competition is just so great that I think it's only if you are just a BMW nut like I am.
Well, and you're tracking it.
I am, yeah. Like if you track it, for sure. But otherwise, it's a great driver's car that is also collectible, and will probably not depreciate as much as some do. Because I certainly took a hit on the competition.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, they gave me a fair, price for it, but they also know that, there are a lot more of those available.
Well, so when they introduced the M2 comp, I think they discontinued the standard M2, right?
That is correct.
And they're still making the M2 comp, and they're going to continue making that until they introduce a new body style, which they may or may not do. Actually, I think they are, right?
They are. So the M2, like all the M2s, the production has stopped on those.
Okay.
It's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure those have stopped. There is a new Tier 2 series that is in development. I mean, I think it's pretty well ready to go.
So that's going to be probably a hybrid, though, right?
I don't think so.
Really?
Maybe.
Huh?
I don't think it's going to be hybrid, but yeah, you would think, because I know BMW's plan is to make everything electric as fast as they can.
Like by 2035?
Yeah, pretty fast. Yeah. So they're going to have to...
2030 maybe even.
They're going to have to start doing that.
Well,
so yeah,
I mean, my understanding among the circles of enthusiasts is that they're going to kind of let enthusiasts have our gas burners because we love them. They really don't make that many of them. They don't really make any kind of dent.
Right.
Environmentally.
Yeah.
So I think that's the logical way to go.
Sure.
I mean, Suburbans and vans and trucks should be electric powered.
Right.
Enthusiast cars are so much better with internal combustion, although they're so much faster. There's no point discussing that because it's hilarious. You see the Model S Plaid just destroying the fastest Lamborghinis and Ferraris that cost 10 times as much.
Absolutely. But a Lamborghini sounds a whole lot better than a Tesla Plaid.
Yep.
That's the thing, is I'll never be able, I think, and for me it's really not even about fast. I mean, there are lots of cars that are faster than this. Lots of cars that are faster. A Tesla is faster, up to a certain point. I'd rather have the sound.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the sound.
Yeah. Yeah. 50% of driving to me is the sound.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I have nothing against Teslas. I'm impressed and amazed by what they've accomplished. And they are fast. There's no doubt about that. They don't move me in the way that a gas-powered, internal combustion engine does. And I just happen to be a BMW super freak. I love the way they look. I love the way they feel. I'm always chasing the dragon a little bit, wanting to get back to that 325 IS, because that was my first introduction to BMW. I had never driven a BMW prior to that, and man, that did it. I mean, it's been a pursuit ever since. I should just get a 325 IS. What was that? Probably an 88?
87.
87. And just fix it up and it'd be money ahead.
Yeah, good luck finding an E30 M3 because it's probably worth more than this one.
Well, you're right. I might not be money ahead. It's been a pursuit for that feeling, and this does a pretty good job. I'm really happy when I drive it. But it also has Bluetooth. I do like the technology. I do like it's got nav and all that kind of stuff. That an older BMW wouldn't have.
Right.
In many ways, I wish I could have both.
Yeah.
It's like if I had unlimited funds, I would definitely have both.
It'll be interesting to see if they do any resto mods with those first generation M's.
Yeah, they probably will.
Yeah.
They probably will.
Yeah, but you'd have to do so many things. I mean, the E30, part of it is that it's lightweight.
Yes.
And it has 195 horsepower, at least from the factory, that's what it was. So this is more than twice as much power, and it probably doesn't weigh anymore. So the performance differential is so much. For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I was young, and that's what bit me, was just, it felt like a go-kart. It wasn't, again, so much that it was fast as it was nimble. Yeah. It was quick. Yeah. It was just like you said earlier, a giggle. Yeah.
You know, you just laugh the whole time.
It's turn in.
Yeah.
As Scott was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, the turn in on the M3 on my E46, which used to be his, is just so good.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and the steering, the road holding, as you're driving, the way it tracks the road. I was going back and forth with David yesterday. I drove Mom's Honda CR-V, which is a terrible thing to compare an M car to, of course, but it just felt like it was drifting all over the road, and I never have that feeling in the M's. They track exactly as they should, just smooth as butter. I mean, you just don't realize how good it is until you drive something else.
That's true.
And I'm spoiled, as you are. I wish there was some way to quantify the difference between the three models, because it seems like the M2 comp was a substantial jump up, and and not that much of a price premium. And then you get the exclusivity with the CS over the comp.
Yeah.
You get better hardware, which doesn't necessarily translate into the driver's experience as much as you would hope it would.
Yeah, that is true. That's it. I mean, this is, I'm going to make clear, an improvement over the competition in terms of the way it drives. Again, is it as big a jump as the competition was from the M2?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
But I would say that it is a substantial jump from the competition, just in terms of the way it feels on the road, the firmness of the ride, but also it's not as rough though. It's more comfortable. So I do think that there was, a jump, but maybe not as big a jump as from the M2 to the competition.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that you can feel that it's got a slightly lower center of gravity. I do think that you can tell a bit.
Is the car physically lower?
I don't believe it's physically lower.
Okay, it's just that the weight
the weight is lower.
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of where it's centered.
Because of the roof, the trunk, you say, and then what did you say? The hood, was it?
The hood is carbon fiber.
Yeah, well,
it's a lot of what would be sheet metal. Is carbon fiber.
Yeah.
And it's also just really pretty. It's gorgeous to look at. In terms of just driving, you can feel that it's got a more singular purpose. It's a great daily driver, but I think you could also take it and track it and have a real good time.
Yeah.
And have some good results.
Yeah, that's what it's for.
Yeah, I mean, it's the club sport.
Yep. All right, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed it. The total conversation ran about 45 minutes, so I've broken it up into 4 parts to make it easier to digest. In the next and third segment, David and I talk about why we love BMWs, the sounds they make, the new M5 CS, and the future of enthusiast cars. Until then, please do stay tuned.
So one of the things about this car that you're going to learn is it's got really good brakes. Like really good brakes.
Use them.
It does need them. It stops real fast. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it all up in the sport plus. It's a speedy.
Sweet sound.
It's a speedy. All right, Brad, hold on, all right? And we're going to do a brake check. Whoa! So pretty good.
Yeah.